Olivarez, chair of the ASGCT Communications Committee, coming to you live from the ASGCT 2026 annual meeting here in Boston. And I'm thrilled to introduce everyone to Craig Martin, who's the founder and CEO of the Orphan Therapeutics Accelerator, as well as a co-founder of new initiative, the CGTxchange. And I want to start by asking you, Craig, a little bit about the impetus behind this program and what's making it possible now that maybe wasn't a possibility in the past.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Lynnea. Well, the CGTxchange really originated in some ways out of the work that we were doing at Orphan Therapeutics Accelerator, where we were seeing a number of therapies that had shown promise in clinical trials that were being shelved. And the issue was not about the science, it was about the math or a lack of exposure to potential funders and partners. So about a year ago, we were attending a workshop that ASGCT was holding on pre-viable cell and gene therapies, and got to talking, and they realized that the work that we had been doing for probably 18 months at that point aligned very well with what ASGCT was hoping to accomplish, which was to get many more of these therapies to patients. And so that was the impetus for it. We were able to utilize some AI-based platforms that we'd been working on for the accelerator and evolve them to be able to address more therapies at the scale of need, because we know there are hundreds of these out there, and this allows for an asset lister that has a therapy that's been shelved or stalled to provide information, have it be processed through the AI-based platform to generate diligence reports, virtual data rooms, dashboards, things that make it easier for an investor or partner to then look at that asset and say, oh, that's maybe something that fits with what I want to try and accomplish, and we can foster more matchmaking and the ability for more of these therapies to move forward.
So what does success in your mind look like of this exchange a year from now, 5 years from now?
Well, even if one therapy gets to patients that wouldn't have otherwise, that's success. But our hope is that initially, maybe dozens of programs are listed here, and a number of them find a partner or a funder and can move forward and be made accessible to patients. Many of these condition areas, as you know, are pediatric, and they're devastating. And so being able to do a number of those programs, move them forward in parallel, would be success in my view.
I'd like to hear from you at an operational level. How does this work if someone's thinking, oh, maybe I have something I want to list? How do they do that? And then on the opposite side of things, if someone thinks, oh, maybe I'm an investor, or I could potentially help move this along, how do both sides get involved with the exchange?
Sure, yeah. So the asset, this is the functionality that'll be available when we launch. And that's what we're doing this week. So for an asset lister, they would submit an interest form that provides some higher level information on the asset that gets evaluated, and then if it appears to be a therapeutic program that has some reasonable data with respect to safety and the potential for efficacy, and it meets other criteria, then we would accept the asset listing. The asset lister would provide all of the data that they have, including data room that gets ingested. That then generates a profile card, which we sort of think of as a sort of Zillow listing for shelved cell and gene therapies. And then beneath that card, if someone were to click on a particular card, it would take them to a more detailed summary about that particular program. And then for investors and partners, they come to the site, we ask for some high-level information about who they are, why they're there, just to ensure that the types of people that are coming in are there for the right reasons. And then they can look at the profile card, search different assets. There's a BD agent that will also help to identify and steer maybe an investor partner toward the right asset. And then if they decide they're interested, they click on the profile card, they see the more detailed summary of information. Based on that, they can request access to the marketplace, and an email goes to the asset lister saying this particular investor or partner is requested to see more information on your program. The asset lister can either accept or deny access, and then there's a process that they accept, that there's a NDA that gets signed that's available in the platform, and then based on that they can access the dashboard, virtual data room, and really dig deeper.
So last question. It feels like at the annual meeting this year we're at a bit of an inflection point. There's a lot more talk we're hearing about how we expand access to these therapies, how we make sure that they're actually getting to the people that need them. Because now, I mean, we're at such an exciting point in time where we know that the technology works to some degree. Not to say that there isn't more work to do, for sure there is, but why now? Why is this the right time to have this matchmaking platform?
Well, I think one reason is the scale of need. We know that there are so many of these programs out there. We know they have a strong scientific basis, so we need to have a different construct to make those therapies accessible to patients. And we also have better technologies now that allow us to assess more of these programs in a matter of hours in what would take a BD team or a diligence team, weeks or months, and a lot of hours and expense. So that opens up to us anyway the opportunity to match a new asset class in a way with a new class of investors, because we see these as programs that still have value to them, but not at the thresholds for investment that a big biopharma company or a VC firm might have, but that a family office or an impact fund or a donor advised fund might find really appealing. And because they're clinical stage assets, they're all potentially just a few years from the finish line. So we think that's an opportunity, rather than sitting on these programs, to get them moving again at the scale that's required.
Well, you heard it here first. New class of assets, potentially new class of investors. Really looking forward to seeing how this exchange plays out. And for those of you interested in learning more, you can go to CGTxchange.com. That's CGTxchange.com. Or come find Craig or anyone from the ASGCT team here if you're here on the floor at the annual meeting to learn more about it. So looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.